We're back today talking about a new topic. We've got the Xbox Series controller revision. What PS5 controller features should it use? So, the general idea here is that we're talking about the controller. It's going to be doing a revision in our minds. This isn't confirmed, but we're going to be building our own next gen Xbox controller. That's a mid gen controller upgrade. So we'll start by going over the poll. So this was on YouTube on the channel, available to anyone on the channel, and also open to the greater YouTube as well, since it brings lots of people in with that algorithm. So the question was, and this was about 2 weeks ago, what PlayStation DualSense controller features should Xbox add in a controller revision? It had over 1,500 votes, 19% for advanced haptics, 47% for adaptive triggers, aka tension, 7% for microphone in the controller, 22% for an internal battery, and 4% for speakers in the controller, aka sounds coming from the controller. We're going to start with introductions here. We've got Josh in the corner.
That's me. I'm Josh. Find me on Twitter, Xbox Data.
And Mitchell there as well.
Hi, you can find me as Pink Illusion.
Great, so let's jump into this chat. General thoughts on the controller. What do you think of the Xbox controller? What do you think of the DualSense controller? Josh, you're up first.
I like both controllers a lot, but I actually do like the PlayStation 5 controller better. It feels nice and meaty, which I've always complained about the PlayStation controllers for quite some time now. I'm not a small person, and I want something that feels like doesn't feel cheap in my hands. It's a great machine, and the sound that comes out of it is surprisingly clean, and I really like it. So right now, my favorite controller is probably the controller.
Mitchell?
I'm very similar here to Josh. I think that the PlayStation 5 controller in general is a better controller, just overall. I do like the Xbox design more overall, but just with all these extra features that the DualSense gets, it is a better controller.
I personally like the Xbox controller more, just in terms of how it feels. But I love the fact that the DualSense actually feels like a next-gen controller, if that makes sense. The feature set, I love the haptics in it. I don't necessarily like the microphone being built in, I find that very invasive. But I just really do like how they actually kind of copied the Xbox feel a little bit more with the DualSense, and therefore it feels like a much better controller than the DualShock. Whereas the DualShock, I felt like it was very uncomfy in my hands after a few hours. The DualSense, I feel like I could just play all day, and it's just snugly sitting there. So we're gonna jump into our. Oh.
Sorry, I just want to say something real quick about that.
Mhm.
To me, the new generation of consoles that feels more next generation than even the hardware itself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the controller is the big part there, and I just like. I guess before we jump into it, do you guys feel that maybe Xbox should have done something a little bit more revision-wise with their controller?
Maybe. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know that it necessarily would be the triggers or microphone, but maybe something could have been done, like a touch screen, perhaps. I don't know. But I mean, when you add these other features, you're taking away battery life on it, right? And that is also something that kind of irks me. Like I don't want to get a controller with all these really cool features, but 3 hours later I gotta plug the damn thing in again.
That is an issue that I've come across too. Is I'm just like halfway through my session and I'm like, I gotta get a cord and plug this in somewhere, and
Yeah,
then it's not a wireless controller, right?
it's just annoying. It's not like the end of the world, right? But it's just an irritant.
Mm-hmm. So let's jump in here. We've talked about the thoughts on the controller. So now we're going to be making our own controllers, basically, our revised Xbox controller. Josh, you're up first. Should your controller make sounds?
Yes, actually, I think it should. I think the way they've done it on PlayStation is it's really sharp. The first time I got to play with it, and I was playing Astrobot, I was actually just blown away. I was like, "Holy crap! This is like sound coming out of this. Awesome!" It really just adds like a different dimension to the gameplay. I found for some games, obviously not. It's not going to work for all, but for what I have experienced that I thought was good, it was really good.
And Mitchell?
I'm actually I'm 50-50 on it, because like the first thing I think of when you first asked that question, I'm like, yeah, it should make sound, and then I think for some reason I've just got it stuck in my head, the Wii Remote controller that makes sounds, and that annoyed the hell out of me. And I know it's a different controller. It's going to be better quality. Like there's so many differences on it, but I feel like a sound would take me out of the game. While saying that, if it has sound, I think that would be better in certain cases. For instance, like voice chat type stuff. That could be what I would almost enjoy it with.
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
Have you used the PlayStation 5 yet?
I have.
Have you played something like the Astrobot game where, like, because honestly, like, you got that is still for me um, the best showcase of that controller.
Mhm.
And I was like, at first I was like, what the hell do you need that for? That seems kind of like a waste of time, waste of battery. But once I got it and I started playing with it, I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. So
Yeah.
I thought it would be annoying too, but I felt like it actually made me enjoy the experience even more than I probably would have normally.
Yeah, I guess I don't have as much experience on it, so I can't really say as much for it. But I guess since you've tried it there, definitely helps out a little bit more,
I,
right?
I'd I'd be interested to hear your thought if you ever get a chance to
Mhm.
try it out again. I'd really like to circle back to that sometime. Like we can have a
Absolutely.
conversation
Yeah,
on the
we'll
side. I'd
we'll
like to
invite
hear
you
about
over
that.
sometime, Mitchell. We'll give you some Astrobot. But you're, in this situation, this hypothetical, Mitchell, your company, you're representing Microsoft, and you guys are spending $1 billion on this controller. Sound, yes or no?
Uh, based on my previous stuff, not on the new information, I'd still say no. But I would
Okay.
still like to try it out.
I'm gonna go. I say I would like the sound, but I think there definitely needs to be an option to completely turn it off on my design. You can have
Fair.
it. Games can take advantage of it. I don't necessarily think it should be a priority for first party. There's a lot of other things I'd like them to do with that, controller wise, that we're going to be talking about. But I think, yes, it should have the option, and yes, it should definitely have a shut off or just an option that easily allows you to just get rid of that functionality entirely. Because on the DualSense, I've liked it so far. On the DualShock, I hated the controller making sounds. I don't know if anybody played Death Stranding, but that baby whining through that controller for like 30 hours drove me crazy. Absolutely crazy. Wow. Oh, shut
For you,
up.
buddy. I got news for you. If you ever have kids of your own, get ready because that is life.
Yeah, but when I'm playing a game, I want to be taken out of life.
I hear you.
That jumped me ahead like 10 years. I'm not ready for that yet. And not when I'm trying to carry stuff through a mountain. Come on, BB. Okay.
Shut up.
Should it have advanced haptics, aka the way the DualSense kind of feels, but in the Xbox controller? Josh, you up first.
Sure. So yeah, absolutely have the haptics. It feels nice. It's I don't know, it's just a great feature. There's nothing else to say about it. I mean, it's either good or it's not, and I like it. So
Okay, Mitchell, you're up.
I do. I like the haptics a lot on the PS or on the PlayStation controllers for sure. I would love to see it on an Xbox controller, but it's similar to something that was mentioned much earlier on. Is that one, the Xbox controllers are notorious for having stupid drift, and I feel like I know that the haptics aren't specific into your drifts and everything, but just like I feel like it's just another thing that can go wrong when they haven't yet fixed that issue.
Mm.
And then the other thing is going way back to what we said. Every single time you add something into the controller, that's just something else to drain the battery, and I feel like battery technology isn't progressing fast enough to properly make up for that.
I need to
So
reach out to Elon.
exactly, yeah.
So I'd
So
actually, okay, so yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes if overall, like if somehow they're able to solve every other issue that's currently plaguing the Xbox controller, because there are issues.
Yeah, I'd actually really like to have this feature. To me, that's the most impressive part of the DualSense is how it feels, the way they've kind of set up those haptics. I call them advanced haptics because the Xbox does have haptic feedback. It just doesn't have that level of integration and usage. So I think that would be really nice. At the same time, I kind of look long term, and I feel like it's a little gimmicky, and I'm not sure how many games are going to support it in the long run. It just seems like it's a new feature for now that people are using, and that tends to happen at the start of a generation. A new feature comes in, people will be like, oh yeah, I love this, and then it just kind of vanishes over the course of the gen. So I like it, but I also, I would like to see it. It's generally my overall thing on there. So our next question is, should it have advanced triggers for tension? So basically where it kind of like stops the trigger halfway through so that you have that tension when you're clicking down on stuff. We'll start with Josh there.
All right.
Very curious about your thoughts on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I think that Microsoft to make sure that they would be putting it in, and it's got to work for a long time. Like it can't be a break, because once you get into those quick and dirty, frantic moments inside of like Call of Duty as an example, or Halo, you don't want to be like just hammering down on that trigger and that's something snapping off, because it happens. So yes, have it, but make damn sure that it's gonna have a really good shelf life. It's really rugged.
Mitchell, you're up.
I would say I want the option to have it, but I don't want it to be a mandatory feature. I want to be able to get a controller that doesn't have it. And the only reason I say that is because I faked out little 7-year-old Mitchell playing Halo 2 and just going like that. So I feel like right now for where I'm at, and like it changes, right? But like where I'm at, where I game and the games that I play and things that I enjoy, I take it way easier. I would enjoy it because it immerses me into it more, negating the whole battery issues and everything that I talked about before. But as somebody who is much more intense or younger, doesn't really understand it as much, I feel like it's just something to break. So
I would not like it. I would not put it in a controller revision at all. Just
that's fine to me.
I just feel like it's gonna just break over time. I also find it annoying when I'm playing on the PlayStation. I don't really like when it's active. I keep it on. I don't think you can turn it off, can you? It's kind of like built in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it kind of bothers me because when I play something like Halo, I have my BR shots, battle rifle, very specifically tuned to how I click the trigger, and to have it kind of adjusting itself, I think would really impact my ability to shoot a certain way, if that makes sense. So I'm not at all game for the particular feature. That moves us to our next topic here. Would you like a touchpad? Does your controller have a touchpad in it, Josh? Kick us off.
It doesn't have a touchpad. Not at all. I don't. The little bit of use that I've had for it on PlayStation system has been a middling experience at best. It hasn't done. It hasn't enhanced anything for me at all. So I would just do away with it and just go full VMU now instead, and get yourself a little screen in there with its own battery. You know what I mean? The old Sega Dreamcast. Let's do it.
Oh. Okay, Mitchell?
I like that. I kind of like what you said. For me, it's the same thing. What's the point of a touchpad? Like it's I don't really see any major point of it. I feel like it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's just nothing that I've seen done with a touchpad you can't do with a normal controller in some way, from my experience. Um, Again, don't get me wrong, it's cool, but just something to taking up space.
But Mitchell, it opens your maps. No, it's to me it's entirely useless. I never got the point of why that was even in there. It's literally just taking up what the back button could be doing. So
Yeah.
I see no point in having a touchscreen added in. Which brings us to our next topic. Do you want a built-in microphone in your controller? Josh, take it away.
No, there's no reason for it, in my opinion. Uh, it's just there to juice the machine a little bit, but also like if you forget that you're on a hot mic maybe in a game and you drop some bomb, you're gonna get you could easily get into a lot of hot water pretty quick, right? Like it doesn't matter what it is you're saying. You might say something that the wrong person hears, and then they get you reported, and you're on the outside looking. So hard pass.
Mitchell?
Again, similar thing. I don't really see a purpose of it. While saying that, if it's in there, probably will use it, and that's where it goes back to having the sound coming out of it as well, where you can. It's like, hey, if I don't have to wear a headset every once in a while, and I'm able to talk and hear somebody at the same time, like it's more so for like just little things. I know that there's been a lot of issues with people worried about privacy and stuff, but if my personal FBI agent who's assigned to watch me is listening and hears me go like dropping an f bomb and then while playing Minecraft at 2:30 in the morning, then that's his life choices. That's not my life choices. So it's not really needed though, in my opinion. So
Yeah, initially when I read that, I was like, when the PlayStation was first getting announced, I was like, oh, neat, a microphone in the controller. I was like, it'd be so much easier for getting people to be chatting and stuff. And then as soon as the PlayStation came out, I was like, oh, that's a horrible idea. People are just going to be saying all kinds of. And I also found it really hard to turn off on the PlayStation. You have to go into a number of settings to actually get it off. Like, I turned it off on the controller, but I still found that it was connecting to the game, and then it actually screwed up my settings because I had it charging on my computer, just charging, and it like connected to the PC in a way, and I had to do all this stuff to get it to work, like to get it to turn off, and that drove me crazy. But my biggest thing with this, and I say no to the microphone at all, it's crazy that people thought that the Kinect was super creepy and invasive for like listening in, and now we have all these Google devices, and they can listen into your controller in your hands that's like right beside you. And nobody seems to have an issue with this at all.
yeah,
Dude, it's just like your phone is doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like literally, a couple of years ago, we went to a friend's house, and I have like dry skin in the winter, and then I was like, oh man, my skin's so dry, and he goes, get yourself some of this product. I was like, okay, I'll take a look. That night, I had ads on this damn thing on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook for that exact product. I was like, oh man,
it's creepy.
Similar off that, I was just telling my girlfriend a couple days ago that hey, we need to make a Costco run. I've been bombarded by Costco. Excuse my language, but bombarded by Costco ads nonstop for the last 3 days.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like people gave Kinect so much crap, but now like your phone's like just listening in. People have like Google Home or all those devices just like readily sitting there, Alexa and that. But the Kinect was the real issue. It's just like a huge privacy thing. And I usually don't care too much, but it's like there, right?
Yeah, well, I got my Google Home in the bathroom. Someone at Google wants me to listen to what's going on in there. That's their problem, not mine.
Okay, we've got one last topic for our custom controller that we're making. Would you want your controller to take traditional batteries like the Xbox controller always has, or do you want an internal battery? Josh, you're up.
I want to replace them as needed. I want to be able to have I mean, we all have our favorite controllers, right? Like it's like you can have 3 controllers and cycle through them all, but you still have that one that's your favorite controller. And you just feel for some reason that controller was designed for you. So having to put that down to go grab another controller completely doesn't really work for me. I don't like it. I like being able to just walk over to my battery packs that I've got charging, swap one out, I'm back in the game in 15 seconds type thing.
Mitchell?
Exact same. Like, literally exact same answer as Josh. Like, it takes you out of the game if you're gonna have to switch a controller, because I feel personalized with my controller. When I'm not using my controller, it feels kind of weird. It does. And I know my girlfriend is very similar. She's got a really nice kind of blue and white controller. It's a very nice looking controller, but that controller is hers. Like, no one else uses it, and it would suck. It's like, what if you're switching out and going down to just a plain old black controller type thing. Um, I like being able to just quickly swap out batteries, and it also, I think, makes it a little bit easier to do different battery things. Like, do you want a battery bank? Do you want rechargeable batteries? So
Choices is what it is. I like batteries because
yeah.
for my Xbox One, and sadly the thing doesn't work on my Series X controller because I slightly changed the back of it. But I just had these charge things. I put it in my controller. Whenever it was needed to charge, I just laid it down on a dock, and it would just charge. So if I was like, playing a game and then I took a break, set it down, it would charge while I was going and doing something. And to me, that was perfect. But then again, it's like now I'm back on batteries, but I'm still fine just swapping the batteries. It takes like 1 second, and I'm back in what I was doing.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Energizer plain charge kit or whatever, where it had the special back and put on that dock?
Kind of. I have like Snakebite Twin Charge. It was something I reviewed, and I just ended up really loving it.
Yeah. See, they did change the back, so like I can't use the backing, the Energizer battery packs anymore. So
same thing.
I don't have a back on it at all, so I just put them on like that. It works fine. It's kind of a pain, but I mean, if you drop your controller, you're like, oh shit, I gotta go find my. Oh, sorry for the language. I'd be like, I gotta go find where that controller went, that battery will, desk or whatever. But yeah.
So since we have wrapped up, do you guys have any ending thoughts you want to talk about on controllers?
Bring
Go
back
for it, Josh.
Dreamcast control.
The Xbox throwback Dreamcast.
Yeah, man.
That's what the partnership was. It wasn't Xbox buying Sega all these years. It was just them collabing on a Dreamcast controller.
Yeah. Complete with like chows on there, and we could, do
Chow Garden on the thing.
That's right.
It's a touchscreen now, so you can play Pokemon Go between your matches. Okay, Josh, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, mostly at Xbox Canada, and I also podcast with friends called The Cast, and I write for my own site, .com.
And where can people find you, Mitchell?
So on Xbox side of the Pink Illusion, I'm also on YouTube where I mostly make outdoor videos. It's called Climbers 95ers, and those are my two main areas.
Great. Well, you're on my channel, so you can find me here and at SkyCaptain5 on most places and social media. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great too, and I hope you guys enjoyed.